Alrighty guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. Today I'm reviewing Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 3, which was from showrunner Jon Favreau, who wrote all eight episodes with Dave Filoni and Noah Clore. Both of them co-wrote a few episodes, but the episodes were directed by Rick Famuyiwa, Rachel Morrison, Lee Isaac Chung, Carl Weathers, Peter Ramsey, and Bryce Dallas Howard, and starred Pedro Pascal as The Mandalorian, alongside his body doubles, Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder, but also starred Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan, but the season aired from March 1st, 2023 to April 19th, 2023, which it was definitely my least favorite season of the series so far. I felt like it kind of went away from stuff I liked from the first two, but I also felt like the season just kind of didn't get the point of it across that well. It ended up being about reuniting Mandalore and recovering the planet and whatnot, which I liked the concept of that, but it kind of just took a little too long, to get to that point, and then when it did, it kind of just goes down kind of simply, I just wish there was more to it, which I guess really the pacing of the season was just a little weird. The first two seasons had, side quest episodes, but and this season once again had side quest episodes, but with the first two seasons, I felt like those episodes still felt like they were contributing to the overarching story, where this season I just didn't feel like that was the case. Like I felt like there's just too many times where just kind of an episode, definitely in the middle, just wasn't continuing the main story and whatnot, which that's probably my biggest problem with this season, was pacing, and then too many side quest episodes, which I, looking at them more individually, they're still fun. They still have that funness from the first two seasons, but those episodes from the first two seasons, while we're like that, I still felt like we're contributing enough to the overarching story of the season. And with this season really being about reuniting the Mandalorians, the stuff with Din's covert, I was a little iffy on. Mainly just because in past seasons, it just kind of seems like they're a cult, and I kind of thought Din was going to move past them and whatnot. Ends up coming back to them this season, and this season kind of makes it like, they aren't a cult. So I was a little iffy on that, but I do like seeing them from a different point of view, learning that they, are still noble and whatnot, and, not bad people. But it still was kind of weird. Obviously some of that could just be more just how I thought of them through the first two seasons, but obviously Bo-Katan does call them a cult in season 2, but obviously that's more Bo-Katan's point of view on them, and obviously this season was about uniting Mandalorians, and like Bo-Katan moving past those, thoughts, those, all that and whatnot. So, I found that just kind of weird, but I do get where they were going with that. But one thing I really, really enjoyed this season was seeing Din and Grogu's relationship evolve. They both start to become fully like a father and son. So I really loved all the moments like that between them. I just wish we got more of them than we did this season, because I really like that. But from the end of the season, it does seem like, season 4 will definitely be a lot about that. But this season, Bo-Katan becomes a main star of the series, which I enjoyed that. But I do think, there could have been more to her character arc, I guess. It did feel similar to some stuff we kind of saw in Rebels and whatnot, and, I guess the Clone Wars. But, obviously she wasn't the main character of those, and, this season kind of gives her that main role in more depth. But there's also some bigger moments with her character, which I just didn't feel the bigness of it. Like a lot of the stuff with the Darksaber this season, like I just didn't feel the weight of all of it. So I do wish there was a little more there, but I do like everything with her and the Mandalorians and whatnot, and her kind of realizing that, the Mandalorians kind of need to put aside their differences, the different groups, and kind of unite, which I guess that is kind of her biggest thing. And I would say that wasn't really as, really prevalent that much in the animated shows. Which also with Din this season, kind of felt like he kind of reverted back to some of his old ways, definitely with the covert and the helmet stuff and whatnot. So I do wish there was maybe a little more character growth for Din, outside of, his relationship with Grogu. So, and like I said earlier, I kind of talked about the covert and whatnot, how I felt it was kind of weird this season, but, with Din, I was kind of expecting a little more with him and his personal character growth without Grogu this season. But, those are probably some of my bigger issues with this season. Like I already mentioned, I really liked how Din and Grogu's relationship grew. And, like I said already, I kind of wish there's a little more of it. But, the season, seems like season 4 will at least definitely be a lot about that. I still thought the fun adventure, ness of the first 2 seasons was still there this season, which is one of the main things I liked about the show. And, obviously I still enjoyed it this season, but because the overarching story I felt was lacking, the more just fun adventure episodes ended up feeling like it was kind of wasting time. One thing that stood out to me this season was the spaceship dogfighting scenes. I really enjoyed all those. Thought they were a lot of fun. Do wish we got a little more of those. The best ones were in the first and third episodes of the season. The one in the 5th episode was alright, but it was kind of familiar-ish because it was just over Navarro, which we've gotten already, like in season 2. And in the final episode of the season, there is some space stuff, but it really isn't that big. It was kind of weak, but like the stuff from the first and third episodes, I really, really enjoyed. Also, one thing, like the first and second seasons, I thought I had a lot more standout side characters, which this season there's obviously a lot of returning side characters from the first 2, but there really wasn't one where I just really liked. Obviously there was fun ones, like Jack Black was definitely one I would have never expected and was fun, but I didn't really fall in love with his character. I liked the Anzellans, but they were just a little bit of a story. Obviously, the Armorer, Grief Karga, Dr. Pershing, some other characters, they all returned, but once again, none of them really stood out to me this season. Obviously, Moff Gideon returns, which I felt like he was kind of wasted, really throughout all 3 seasons. Once again, in the final episode, he gets beaten, maybe for good this time, so I do wish he was a little bit better. He was excellently played by Giancarlo Esposito. I just wish the actual character had a little more to him, because the performance was great. The character I don't feel like was. Also, once again, I thought the music was good. This time Ludwig Göransson didn't return to be the composer, but instead Joseph Shirley did the score, which he did the score for the Book of Boba Fett, which, his stuff was good. I liked it. I liked the new Bo-Katan theme. The new Republic theme I liked also, but obviously there's a lot of themes from Göransson which were reused, which in some cases, worked. I'd say most cases actually worked, fine, but there was some where I just was like, like, one part at the very end of the season when Din, Bo, and Grogu are fighting Gideon, and then the ship comes crashing down and blows up, and Grogu uses the Force to move away the explosion. It uses the same exact music from the end of season 1, I think, when he uses the Force to push away the fire from the Flame Trooper. And in that episode, I thought the music definitely elevated the scene, but in this one, because it was the same exact music, it just didn't hit the same. But, all the other more original music was great, and most of the time when they're reusing Göransson's themes, it works well, but, in some cases, didn't as well. But, this season as a whole was definitely a little disappointing. And a lot like the Book of Boba Fett, I can look at some of the episodes more individually and like them more, but when I think of them as the whole season, definitely like the middle part of the season, really the 4th or really 3rd through 6 episodes, I can look at them a little more individually and thought they were more fun episodes and enjoyed them more, but when I look at the whole picture, it does feel like they kind of wasted some time. So I guess the season works somewhat as a more episodic season, but not as a serialized season, which, the first 2 seasons kind of in this season were kind of more in the middle, but this season kind of leaned a little more episodic, where I kind of wish it leaned a little more serialized. So, yeah, but, that's really all I have to say about this season. Kind of a mumbled up bunch of thoughts on it and whatnot. You can check out my more individual episode reviews, but, this season was just kind of disappointed by it. I didn't think it was terrible. I still enjoyed several moments. Just wish it was on par with the first 2 seasons. So, yeah, but, my grade, I'll give it a C+. So, yeah, but, that's gonna be it for this one. Like I said, you can check out my reviews on the individual episodes. You can check out my reviews on the Book of Boba Fett and all the other live action series. The next live action series will be Ahsoka, so I'll do reviews of that when that comes out in August. So, yeah, but that's gonna be it for this one. I've been Sarzoon. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
This is the way.
There's something dangerous happening out there. And by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it'll be too late.
Hang on, kid.